Okay.
You know, I was very fortunate in one of the very first assignments I got was from National Geographic in 1980. And I shoot in a National Geographic style. I do a bit of everything, portraits, landscapes. I'm a documentary photographer, basically.
What is that National Geographic style? What does that mean?
It really means that they're photographs that are not about the photographer. They're about the subject.
Right.
The photographer is very secondary. And I guess my style has become graphic, strong use of color.
So is there a general approach that you take?
It's a Zen approach to photography. You have to prepare yourself to accept images that give themselves to you.
Okay, I understand that.
And you prepare yourself by knowing your equipment inside out so that the camera doesn't get in the way.
Right.
The camera is the biggest barrier to great photographs very often because you're thinking too much about the equipment to concentrate on the subject.
So true.
So you have to know your equipment absolutely inside out, know how it's going to react to certain situations, and you also have to develop your eye and educate your eye. And I've done it through a passionate interest in painting, particularly 20th century. I love the abstract expressionists, for example. I spent almost a month in Cuba this year with a group of photographers. I was leading a workshop and shooting in the ballet school. It's so easy to become preoccupied with the dancers, these beautiful young dancers, incredibly visual.
Yeah.
And you can get distracted by that and don't see beyond it. And you have to learn to look beyond the obvious. And I wanted to show the building and get a dancer in context. And as you can see from the photograph, it's a very graphic shot.
It is.
That very geometric.
Very well, obviously framed.
There's strong colors.
Yeah.
And I got one of the things that you need in strong composition is some punctuation. Photographs often need a punctuation point.
Tell me about that in that.
And in this young boy practicing is the punctuation.
Right.
And I guess you could call it a decisive moment.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a moment when his attitude was good. You could read him as a ballet dancer. It's obvious that he's practicing a ballet stance.
Right.
And those kinds of details are absolutely critical. I shot this, I rarely take a single frame. I shot several frames of this, and this was the one that I liked the best because of his attitude. Mm-hmm. And it's not just, it's punctuation, but there's also has to be the right gesture. And this combines both.
So when you're looking at this, I understand in the moment it becomes instinctive, but you brought out the point about punctuation. What are the other elements in there? The strong colors?
The colors and the geometry.
The geometry.
Yeah.
Cartier-Bresson talked about photography is geometry, basically.
And this, the rules of photography, I read something online in someone's blog analysing all the rules of photography, talking about golden mean, rule of thirds, and they will certainly make pleasing looking photographs. This is not really rule of thirds. This is, it's slightly off kilter as far as strict rules are concerned. But if you use those rules, you'll get pleasing photographs, but they're very often boring. You want to inject some sort of excitement and interest in your photographs. And using the rules, and we all do it, I've got thousands of photographs that you could show that illustrate those rules.
Right.
But they're not always my most interesting photograph.
Okay, so what's that je ne sais quoi that how do you inject that into the photograph?
I'm able to go into a place and see images that work. I can compose things very rapidly without thinking about it.
Can you show us an example of one of those?
Well, in Burma last year, this photograph I took in a place called Sitwe, which is on the Burma-Bangladesh border where all the problems with the Muslims is taking place, which is a very gritty, dark, gritty town, which I love. It's a kind of the kind of travel photography I really, really enjoy.
The gritty, raw life.
Yeah, I think of myself, I guess I'm a wannabe photojournalist
Okay.
without the war. So I enjoy this kind of environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I use a wide angle lens a lot. If I could only have one lens, it would be a 28, 35 millimeter,
Okay.
maybe 35. And that's what I'm using a lot of the time now. I've got a little Sony camera
Just a prime.
with a Leica. It's a Leica
Okay.
35mm Sumilux,
Nice.
a 1.4 lens, which is incredibly fast.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful setup. And I use that a lot. I could live with just that one camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to get in close to subjects so that you feel part of the scene. And then the composition, I do almost intuitively. I'm always scanning the edges of the frame automatically, because we're responsible for everything in that frame. You know, as a photography, it's your fault if there's something in there that shouldn't be.
Right.
You know, if there's the antenna coming out of someone's head or whatever, it's your fault. You should have seen that.
Take note of that, you guys. Listen to what he's saying.
You have to be very, very aware. I think the most after you know your camera and have prepared yourself visually by looking at other media and other forms of visual arts that you relate to that can affect the way that you see, I think it's very important to be fully involved with your subject.
Right.
To take your very best photographs, you have to be on your own.
Yes.
And you have to give the subject 100% of your concentration. You have to be there.
Right.
And aware of everything. And that includes when you're looking through the camera, even before you look through the camera, be aware of everything that's going on in that image that you're hoping to capture. So in this photograph, for example, the people on the bridge, these small people, it was a very conscious, or, you know, I'm being contradictory again. I say it's a very conscious effort to keep them in the frame like that, but I didn't really think about it.
It's an intuition,
but
right?
it's consciously intuitive.
Right, it's intuitive.
And the same with these two guys
Right.
here.
So there's your punctuation.
I
again.
moved in close, but I wanted them down here for scale, to show how far they walk with these tremendous loads on their back.
Right.
And by getting in low down with a wide angle lens, it gave an impression of the weight of these things coming down from the top of the frame. And that's the kind of photograph I love.
Yes.
That's what I'm always striving for.
The silent moments are full of you looking and paying attention.
I'm totally in the zone.
Right.
And you have to be that to get the best shots.
And there's something you said kind of amongst all this, which is you have to switch on to being a photographer, not being a tourist or talking to a friend or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a conscious, now I am a photographer. Like you said, you're being that 100%.
Yeah.
You're completely involved in the environment.
Yeah. It's really critical to, I can't stress that enough.
That is the key, isn't it?
Yeah. And put the time in.
Yeah.
You know, you spend a long time just hanging around for the perfect shot.
Well, actually, it doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I want to thank you guys for. Are we rolling?
Yeah, we're rolling. I've been rolling.
Let's do it again. Does that mean we're rolling? Okay. I want to thank you guys for watching, and be sure to subscribe. We want you to like if you like our video, of course. You can comment down here, and also please share these with other people, because we want to bring Bob Holmes to as many photographers as we can. And if you would, support us with Patreon. We're funding this whole series ourselves, so your contributions will really help us bring more great content to you guys. And Bob, you have a workshop you'd like to mention.
I've been running international workshops for several years, and you can find information at Lumaria, LUMARIA workshops.com. And also, I'm a regular poster on Instagram and give regular photography tips, and my Instagram address is Bob Holmes Photo. So hopefully I'll meet you there too. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys.